you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Mulugeta, and all the participants here. And this is our friend's 39th session, and I request Dr. Mulugeta Zelelew, our presenter today, to introduce himself and then go to the presentation. Thank you.
But do you hear me?
Yes.
I'm using the...
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
we can hear. Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, fine. Just give me... my name is Mulugeta Bereded Zelelew. I'm Ethiopian, but I live in Northern Hemisphere, Norway. It's the coolest part, maybe one of the coolest parts in the world. Today is, we are 1 hour late because of the daylight saving. I was a little bit confused. But I'm a hydrologist, and I'm working for a consultant, Multiconsult Norway, which is a multidisciplinary company working in Norway, Africa, Asia, and all over the world. And hydropower is one of the business area of the company. I myself trained as hydrologist, hydraulic engineer, hydropower, bachelor in hydraulic engineering, master's in hydropower development, and PhD in hydrology. So I have been working for more than 20 years. So I think that would be enough. If you have something to ask, just say. So now I will just go to the presentation. I think I have permission to share my screen.
Yes.
Do you see my screen?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it on the presentation mode?
No. Yes. Now.
Yes.
Not. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have been asked by Dr. Abata. Thank you for the invitation to share my thoughts. It has been delayed for many reasons, but let's try to get something out of this presentation. So the topic that we chose for this session is hydropower for regional development and mitigating national energy challenge. It's not strictly a very strict rule, but I will try to follow this outline. Little bit background, why we have to talk about this topic, and see some statistics about access to electricity and its relationship with GDP per capita, particularly in the eastern part of Africa, Nile Basin countries, and share of electricity generation by sources in Nile Basin countries, and talk about national energy challenge and opportunities. And then I will summarize with some thoughts. The reason why we need to keep on talking about this topic, affordable energy to all, is because roughly over 55% of the people in sub-Saharan Africa have no access to electricity. Even though this data is from 2019, I don't see that it has changed much. There are some few exceptions in East Africa, in Rwanda and Kenya and Ethiopia, but this part is more or less as it was in 2020, 2019. And the energy consumption per year per capita in the Nile Basin countries is very low, well below the threshold that was assumed that will help to people to live a normal standard life. And one into two people in this wallet are added to the world between today and 2040 will be in Africa. And
Zoom meeting can follow.
You mute yourselves,
the population.
When do you want us to go?
Thank you.
Sorry for the interruption.
It may go when we are going even. It's just starting. So.
Sorry.
Yeah, and the share of the urban population growth is quite significant. So urbanization is also an issue in Africa. Having many new cities, established cities, and some cities have expanded and surrounded the nearby areas and become bigger cities. And the Nile Basin countries has also the resource to satisfy its energy demand. So all of these are challenges that we face today, but there are resources that can also be used to mitigate this challenge. A little bit about the population growth in the region. When I look at the statistics from 2000 till now, the population has doubled in just 2 decades. They are from about 300 million people into nearly 600 million people now. So the growth is very significant. With this rate, there's a huge challenge to meet the energy demand of today. When we look at just two reference periods for urban population growth, this is I took only 3 countries: Ethiopia, Kenya, and Sudan. Of course, the figure represents all, but just took out for demonstration purpose. And the growth during these 2 years, 2 decades in Ethiopia, for example, in the urban areas, is about 8%, and in Kenya it has increased by 9%. In Sudan, it's more or less stable. Between 1990 and 2015, there have been many cities added in Africa, and the number of cities in Africa has almost more than doubled. And it has also been projected that African cities will add nearly 900 million inhabitants between today and 2050. So this is a significant number of population added to the world. So this is the same statistics which I tried to mention earlier. Most of the countries in Africa have very, very little access to electric energy. There are some exceptions. On this figure, you see that the yellow circles are the number of people who have no access to electricity. And it's only around Kenya and Rwanda which managed to supply a little bit 50% of the population. Otherwise, in Ethiopia, it's over 50%, but the number of people just still without grid connection are many, around 60 million. So in certain countries, more than 3/4 of the population do not have access to electricity. So I can say that almost all Nile Basin countries not able to provide energy or electricity for more than 50% of their population. It's kind of interesting to look at the relationship between GDP and electricity consumption per capita. This is a plot which I have taken from US database for the year 2021. So I gathered all the GDP per capita for each country and world and compared it with the electricity consumption per capita. So on the y-axis, you see the electricity consumption. On the x-axis, you see the GDP per capita. And the threshold 500 kilowatts hour is considered as the level of energy that could give you a standard way of living. So all these, the yellow dots, most of them are in Africa. So as you can see, all of them are not able to provide that level of threshold energy, which allow people to live or with a standard life. And above that are mostly the emerging economies and the developed world and the Western Hemisphere. So as you see, the GDP is very much linked with the energy supply or consumption per capita. So there is no country which has energy but being poor, or there is no country which has high rich and having low energy consumption. So finding a solution for this obstacle is very crucial to promote growth in the region and give people a better life in the future. I have also looked at a little bit how share of electricity is apportioned in each country. So I just look at the database and then looked at it. And in the Nile Basin, countries, most of them have a considerable share of electricity from hydropower. Ethiopia, Congo, and Uganda, nearly they have their energy source from hydropower. But other countries like Tanzania, Egypt, and Sudan, and also Eritrea use quite considerable amount of fossil energy. Though it's diversified, you see that the share of hydropower is also increasing. So this is a plot where the time series of share of hydropower with the energy generated for each country. As we can see that Ethiopia, Democratic Republic Congo, and Uganda have their energy source more than 90% from hydropower. Of course, Burundi and Sudan and Rwanda are also in the same. They get more than 50% of their energy source supplied from hydropower. So it looks like that hydropower is the preferred energy source for Nile-based countries, at least. So what would be the challenge for the Nile-basin countries? Having looked at all this data and then analyzing it, and then what could be the possible challenge that these countries could face? I have highlighted out some of the challenge to supply electricity coverage for the growing population, particularly for the faster growing urban population, and challenge to have a sustained economic growth. Though there is economic growth in the region in general, the growth is not sustained. Some years back in 2011 and 12, there have been significant growth in the GDP. However, after that, though there was growth, it was much smaller than the growth in 2011 and 12. So the challenge to have a sustained growth is also linked with energy supply. Job creation, which has been a problem. A lot of people have been migrating out of the countries. And all countries in the world signed up to reach the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. And one of these goals was to ensure access for affordable, reliable, and sustainable and modern energy for all. Some have put their milestone a little earlier than 2030. Some Ethiopia has forward to supply energy for its own citizens by 2025. I still struggling, but might be achievable in a couple of years. And it has also indicators how we can measure whether people have access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern access to electricity and access to clean fuel for cooking, increase global percentage of energy, double the improvement in energy efficiency, promote access technology, investment in clean energy, expand and upgrade energy services for developing countries. So all this, apart from supplying affordable energy, it will also create a lot of jobs. So Africa has opportunity, though it has so many problems. It has also a lot of opportunities to utilize. So I also looked at some of the data that I have. And Africa accounts for about 80% of the world population. However, the energy production is very much low compared to the technically available potential of the continent. So it's about 8 to 12% of its technical potential which is generated. So it's a huge amount of energy which is not tapped yet. So it's also clear from the outlook that Africa had the opportunity to become a carbon emission-free continent. There's, I see it's there's error in the text, but I mean it is carbon-free continent. So there are also many opportunities which are due to the ongoing hydropower projects in the region. Many hydropower projects have been studied and have been in the last 2 decades, and few of the studied hydropower projects are under implementation. The Inga Dam in DRC and some couple of hydropower projects in Uganda, and the GERD project in Ethiopia, and the Gilgil-Gibe 3 and 4 projects in Ethiopia are a few of the hydropower projects which could add a significant amount of energy to the region. I just took this example why the region has so much energy. It's because it's favorable climate for the hydropower. For hydropower generation, there are 2 factors that govern the amount of production. That's one of and sufficient gradient. The other part, the technological part, is still affects amount of generation, but the technology is always improving. So it will anyway affect all other projects in the same way. But the region has a fair amount of runoff, which could be which could supply our power plants for quite a long time, and the topography is very variable, which is somehow suitable for hydropower generation. So I just looked at the Ethiopian case, but it's also similar in Uganda. Congo has a lot of runoff, though it's very, very low height. It can still produce lots of energy, which could power up the whole continent. I just looked at the outlook from Ethiopian project studies, where Ethiopia has put a master plan to supply energy to the nation and also to export the regions. So the plan, as I can see it, the current generation it's just that the little bit short of the planned energy generation in the country. So, but with good, that planned amount of energy generation can be achieved. And with GB4, completion of GB4, the amount of energy generation in the country could be very significant. So at the same time, the export energy could be significant. There is already a connection between Ethiopia and Djibouti, between Ethiopia and Kenya, and between Ethiopia and Sudan. So this will promote regional economic development and will alleviate some of the challenge, the national challenge of transitions. But how could an imported energy from hydro source could be integrated in the local system? Obviously, the base load company is supplied to central or one of other type hydropower plant from the host nation, and the intermediate load could be covered by exported hydro, and solar and storage hydropower from local sources can make the peak load part. In this way, it could be possible to get the energy in the region. This was inspiring picture from the report from the Wolde-Kirkos Congress, which was taken place in Addis Ababa 2017. So as you can see, this ambitious plan looks is very regional actors, both generation, utility companies, and management sector. So with the rapid expansion of cross-border grid interconnections, hydropower and could take opportunity for a greater share of the future electricity in the region. There have been many, at least a couple of governing bodies trying to set up how energy can be transferred from each country, regions. So Eastern Africa, Africa Power Pool is one of that sort of, which could oversee the implementation of this regional power. Regional integration is a key to Africa's recovery effort and was considerable potential for economic growth with market and trade reforms. I just took this from the outlook from World Bank. It's very descriptive. So this could be an opportunity for Africa to get out of poverty, at least to reduce the poverty level as we from now. And the summary, the hydropower sector supplying energy to the people, to the needs, to the manufacturing sector, will provide a lot of jobs. This will have effect on poverty reduction. So according to the IEA prediction, there will be 2.8 million local jobs over 2021 to 2030. If the implementation of plants in the region is going through. So apart from supplying energy to the people, to the industry, to the service center, it will also generate a lot of jobs from grid extension, any grid of grid, or the housing facilities. All these small jobs, small and big jobs, will make a difference for Africa. I'm back to the same originally where I started, because this is the main message of the show. So without having access to energy, there's no way to go forward. So Africa needs to invest on its natural resources in form of regional socio-economic development and mitigate national risks. Access to affordable renewable energy, create jobs, and provide the possibility for people to have a better quality of life. So thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation, and this is Armament, my favorite place, about 500 kilometers southwest of Addis Ababa, and still it's my heart, though I'm very far away from Armament. Thank you. Are we active? I don't hear you, Dr. Awata. I'm sorry. You're muted.
You are muted, Dr. Awate.
You're muted.
I am muted. Nobody knows, sign language or lip reading. Okay. Thank you very much again, Dr. Mulugeta, for the very informative, educational, and for me, and this group as well, the initiation of this group, the vision and the focus that there is much to be gained through cooperation and collaboration. We have a greater common benefits, so we call it. And I like, here, I may be a little bit biased, but the co-founder of Friends, Dr. Khalid, must be here. I don't see him, but Khalid Sadiq, are you there? Khalid? Khalid? Yeah, he was there, and I don't know what happened. But Dr. Khalid Sadiq is agricultural economist from Sudan. He is now in Germany. As you know, Sudan is suffering from internal war. And it's a very heartbreaking thing. And Dr. Khalid has communicated to you through Friends email group. He co-authored a paper regarding the atrocities resulted from this war. And he analyzed with his co-writers there how much damage regarding the making many people without jobs, the poverty level going down. And so if you are interested, you just shoot me an email so I can send it again, the paper. It's a very recent one. Hello?
Oh, okay.
So I will just stop here and give the opportunity for you guys. Let me see who is, if you show me your hand, that will be great, because that will be easier for me, as I'm old-fashioned guy who is not that much, receptive, I should say, to these emoji things. Or so you can raise your hand, or I mean, you can shout out. So, okay, Professor John Akech, you are first.
Yeah, I would like to thank the presenter, Dr. Mulugeta, for this informative. It's very interesting that obviously connection between power consumption and the level of poverty, or per capita. It means they follow one another. Just wondering which one comes first, but that's a joke. So now, we are in South Sudan in a recent economic conference that was done, I think in September. It was found that oil actually revenue is about 16% of the GDP. And then they found that about 8% of that oil, we use half, 55%. I mean, 50% of that goes to roads of the whole. And in fact, 98% of the government revenue is actually oil revenue. Tax is is not really very high there. It's not collected very well. And so the talk is there. Some of us are saying that why don't we actually give priority to power, and then roads? And our politicians are saying roads are more important than power, because you have seen that in your presentation. There are dams that have been proposed, a lot of proposed projects in South Sudan, but they are not being implemented. And we are putting a lot of money into the roads. In fact, they are not. This is a different thing. Whether roads are actually coming is another matter. But clearly, money is going out in the name of roads. Am I wrong? I mean, are we wrong? Those of us who think that actually we should invest more in power, and then have to have a better balance. Because if you give half of your GDP, I mean of your revenue as a public authority, to roads, and then everything else, salaries, health, education, is crammed together. The World Bank estimate is even higher about the amount of money that goes to roads. So I think, can you actually, are we getting something wrong? Some of us do think that we should be investing more in power because we create jobs, and we can tax that, those who have jobs, and then you balance. There is something also happening. A lot of new roads that have been completed are 4 lanes, and we are saying, can we not have the whole country 2 lanes, and then later on expand, rather than just having huge 4 lanes in one place? Say you go 200 or 400 kilometers of 4 lanes, that could give you, if you go 2 lanes, could double that distance, and it means the country can be covered. I think that is what that's just my comment, and maybe you could amplify or tell us where we are going wrong, whether we should have done better, investing more in power, because you can see it linked with poverty eradication. It helps industrialization, create jobs, and even a small SME, when they're connected to power, they would do a lot of things. Food preservation. We have a lot of fish, and it's just getting rotten. And now we mostly attend to dry fish, and is actually export tons and tons to DRC and to Uganda and beyond. And and I think this idea of having dry fish is being this entrepreneurs trying to find a solution because there's no power. Otherwise, we could have a better way of selling fish, maybe frozen or something like that. Like we have Nile perch, which is one, we have really freshwater fish is enormous. I can realize that potential is not wealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Akech. And yes, Dr. Mulugeta, I think, I'll give you the.
I can reflect on this one, but
Okay.
obviously I'm not economist to look at all the factors. But rules are also necessary to have access to our market. But one has to strike a balance between what is sustainable and what is not. And of course, maybe it might be better to sell the oil today rather than selling it or reserve it for later. So that could be one of the reasons that your country is trying to utilize that river as much as or as fast as possible. But having only road cannot create jobs, because you need to have access to the market, and you need to have generate currencies. For that, you need to have energy. But if there is a balance, if balance is maintained between using or developing roads and other infrastructures like hydropower, could even give a better growth for the nation.
Yes. Anybody else? Or once one person I can give to comment or add some thing, here with the discussion point here. Otherwise, we'll go to Sahar, and then we'll go to Mr. Lawrence Freeman in that order. That's how I saw the hands. Okay, Sahar, go ahead.
Dr. Abatami, I'm not right.
Oh, you are not, because it says Samsung and Samsung. So that's a code,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Who is that? Who raised his hand? Is that
that's-
Samo?
No, that's me, Dr. Abate. This is Bahailo.
Bahailu. Okay, Engineer Bahailu?
Yes.
From California. Yes. Welcome, and please
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Yeah.
Dr. Mulugeta, thank you for your presentation. You have given us a good information about Ethiopia's, hydropower capacities. As I feel so great about Ethiopia's hydropower capacity, which is basically now the Gilgil-Gibe 4, and also now known as the Kiosha, and also the GERD, which will be completed soon in the next 3 years. Our hydropower capacity will be exceeding more than 10,000 megawatts. And the distributed power in Ethiopia mainly is of hydro. That can exceed more than 90%. That worries me a little bit, because when you have such a distribution, as you know, water comes and goes, and we may have a problem moving forward. So how do you see Ethiopia has to neutralize the issues concerning this? So having one distributed energy system above 90%, so that we don't get into some problems moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, as I can see, it is more than 95% share of hydropower for Ethiopia. Well, the share of hydropower, the developed hydropower, would be around 20% when GERD is completed. So there is still a lot to go, but Ethiopia has not stopped developing other sources of energy like wind and solar. But these alternatives have very limited capacity, and then if you remember in one of my slides, there's a load distribution, which could be, for example, the big load part could be taken by wind or the solar, because it's variable during the day. Whereas hydropower, you can, if it is well managed, you could reserve it. You could use source to balance, strike a balance between other forms of energy. At the same time, Ethiopia's population is growing very, very, very much, and the urban population has also very significant contribution to that. So there is a huge energy deficit. The only thing that I'm very much worried is about the management, whether it is being operated in such a way that the energy or the system is being used optimally. Otherwise, Ethiopia has also very varied geography and climate system. Some of the hydropower stations are located in bimodal rain system. For example, the Melkaogen and Awash, they receive the peak runoff occurs twice a year. So that's opportunity for have to prolong the operation of the hydropower. Whereas on the other side of the nation, on the western part and southwestern part, is a unimodal. Obviously, much of the runoff comes during the rainy season from June to September. So in that case, one has to save a little bit of water so that it can be enough for the whole year. But there is possibility to optimize, but I just don't see that without having hydropower development in the country. I just don't see that it is not possible to satisfy the energy demand of the nation, whether it is individual house units use or industry or infrastructure, healthcare or education. So I think we could say that kind of thinking, but I don't see that would be a big problem if it is managed optimally.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to add, something for your thoughts, and you can address it after Mr. Freeman speaks here with his questions or comments regarding not only for Ethiopia. I heard that Ethiopia is the energy tower, especially in the hydropower side. The potential that is there is a lot, and I want to add on John Akech also, Professor. South Sudan has plenty of fish, for example, and Ethiopia has the electricity, which can maximize the benefit of having students large potential production of the fish and having the market there reaching in the region. And the electricity wise, Djibouti, Somalia, South Sudan, all this, if they come together with a cooperation mind, I think there is a lot to be benefited here. So that, can you also speak on this aspect as well for regional development, for regional peace? So I just would like to ask you about this topic as well. And Mr. Freeman, I delayed your question, so I'm sorry here.
No problem.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much for the presentation and the opportunity to speak with you on these subjects. Obviously, when you're looking at the discussion earlier, the key for Africa and the key for any nation to develop is infrastructure. And we're touching on the keystones of infrastructure: energy, and not just roads, but I would support the plan for a high-speed rail integrated railroad network throughout Africa, which is in the AU agenda for 63, but it's far off, because railroads and energy are essential for any nation to develop economic sovereignty. The statistics that were provided earlier are very clear. The lack of energy in Africa, and especially in sub-Saharan Africa, is killing people. And the only way for progress to take place is there has to be abundant and accessible energy. And the chart that was shown earlier is something I've known for decades, that the level of energy throughput and the power of that energy flux density, these two conceptions of energy are responsible for increases in the standard of living, or sometimes we measure it falsely as GDP. Those inputs increase the physical wealth of a nation. Energy in both forms of power and total throughput. Ethiopia does have enormous hydropower potential. If you look at the survey, the US survey from 57 to 63, which named 4 hydroelectric dams in the Blue Nile Basin, of which the GERD is one of those 4. There are 3 other potential sites for massive hydropower development in the Blue Nile Basin alone. But to look beyond this and to the questions that were just raised on regional development and the progress of Ethiopia and sub-Saharan Africa, we cannot limit ourselves to simply hydro, solar, and wind. In fact, I find solar and wind relatively ineffective in terms of industrialization capabilities. You just had a conference in South Africa where they highlight the fact that you have to continue to use hydrocarbon. I see no problem in that. When it's a question of people dying for lack of electricity, I would use every lump of coal, every liter of oil, and every cubic meter of gas to develop industry, to eliminate poverty, which the biggest cause is the lack of energy. And I support entirely the South African energy minister, Montage, in his rebellion against the limitations of people saying you can't do this, it's going to be environmentally unsafe. I don't believe any of that. We have to stop the death of people, and we need massive energy. And the other source that in recent conference, this took place last week in Pretoria, Africa Energy Week, they not only discussed the use of hydrocarbons, but of nuclear energy. South Africa has the only nuclear plant. Egypt is now building one with the help of Rostom. Nuclear energy is essential for Africa, and especially with the small modular reactors of 200 to 400 megawatts. This is the future. We cannot simply wait. We simply can't divide what's fixed. The Nile Basin nations have doubled in growth. They will continue to grow with population. The Nile is not large enough to support them. One solution would be desalination powered by nuclear energy. So we have to look to the future. We have to look to advanced technologies. We cannot accept the dictates and the confines of what we can use to develop our nations in Africa with their abundant hydrocarbon resources. And this is the key to regional development. As was mentioned, South Sudan, and Sudan as a whole before it split up, had the most arable land unused in the world, and it was never developed by the West. Sudan could have fed Africa at one point with its potential. So using the energy from Ethiopia for Kenya, for Djibouti, for North Sudan, for South Sudan, and connecting by high-speed rail and other means of connectivity, this is the way to bring about peace. John Paul VI in 1967 said, the new name for peace is development. And that is correct. So I see Ethiopia with its neighbors can become a hub for economic development, eliminating poverty and hunger, and can lead and give guidance or aspiration to the rest of Africa to follow in the same footsteps.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. And I think, because of the time constraint, I will go to Mr. Applegate first, and then Dr. Lama, please.
Okay, thank you very much for an interesting presentation. The one thing that stood out to me was that a number of projects have been identified and studied, but the number of projects being implemented are few. What's causing that constraint?
Okay, that's a good question there. Dr. Lama?
Thank you for the opportunity. Let me, okay, so that you can see my face as well. I think my comment and question addresses also the question just asked by Mr. Applegate. To start with, I thank Dr. Mulugeta for a very comprehensive presentation of a subject that's really huge, and thank you for the information. Coming to my point, and if I didn't hear you, but you have mentioned it, I apologize, Dr. Mulugeta, but I haven't heard you mention, whereas potential of hydro and its impact on development was stressed, the gap is not, or the reason for the gap is not, or how to close the gap and make a successful use or implementation of hydro to alleviate this connection between energy and development was not made. And the last question also, the last questioner asked the same thing. If there are so many potential for hydro and it's key for development, then why isn't there that development? And in my view, and having spent all my life studying hydro water resources and hydro development in particular, and having worked in the largest utility in the United States, PG&E, which is acronym for Pacific Gas and Electric Company, which has the largest hydro resources in the West and in America as a whole. The key problem for not implementing all these hydro potentials that Ethiopia has and anywhere else is that the initial investment for hydro is always the problem. It requires high investment early, and unless you take it for the full length of the economic life of the project, it's very hard to come by. And Ethiopia's problem from millennium and in our life or so has been, we couldn't find funders to our beautiful and potentially productive projects in the hydrosphere particularly. And even though there are international funding organizations like the World Bank, World International Fund, and so forth, they really are political organizations, and the political side and the economic side don't march in unison or in the same reasoning. And that, in my view, has been the problem. And Ethiopia, for the most part, not all of it, has funded the GERD project by personal contribution from personal income. And that is where we could make projects like that work. And if we want to continue developing the remaining potential in Ethiopia and elsewhere, there has to be a solution to the funding, making funding early available, although hydro projects do pay over their lifetime, and that makes them financially, fiscally feasible otherwise, and that should satisfy the concerns of the funding organizations, yet they don't get funded because of political reasons. I'm sorry, I had to take a little more time than probably I'm comfortable with dealing, but the subject is such, and that's my point and my question. And if Dr. Mulugeta has any opinion on what could be done to alleviate that problem, I would be very eager to hear, or anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lama. Dr. Mulugeta.
Let me address some of the issues, and I will see how far we can go. I think I will start with your question, other comments, regional cooperation, and yeah. I have actually have presented or given some ideas, which is actually directly copied from the World Bank, where it says that regional integration is the way forward for Africa is to have regional integration. Or it's not physical or political integration; it is economical and advancing the common issues, social and economic issues together. So one way of doing is interregional or inter-country trading. One of it is hydropower, of course. So if we have such a good plan, and this by and large will promote mutual interest or mutual interest between countries, and the trust will be very high, and then this will also have a lasting impact on regional stability. So instead of having only working independently, the regional integration or cooperation in terms of economy or trade will certainly promote the stability of the region. That's one aspect of having hydropower as an element to, or as a catalyst to integrate the region. This, of course, has also impact on Freeman. For example, Lawrence Freeman has mentioned the development of high-speed railway system. This could not be achieved without having energy. It consumes a lot of energy, but it's also an issue that has to be seen as one of the things that could promote the regional trade and mutual trust, because having transporting or goods and then bringing to the delivery faster and safer and will be economical and will certainly create a lot of jobs. So that's one aspect of hydropower, which will help to actually promote this regional integration. The reason why we don't get, or why these studied hydropower projects are not being implemented is very obvious. The Ethiopian case is very, very visible. Ethiopia, for those of you who knows the geography and hydrology, Ethiopia is like an umbrella. Like it has topography which rises at the center and descends towards the boundary. That follows, actually, the river follows the topography, and all of the major rivers, even though they are originating from Ethiopia, they are transboundary rivers. All of the rivers, the major rivers, are crossing borders. So the Nile case was actually a very a case which has attracted so many actors from the World Bank before the development of the GERD project. There were actually 4 cascade projects that were supposed to be implemented. This was studied by the intro, which is a section of the Eastern Nile technical group, which is located in Addis Ababa. So I'm not sure when exactly, but it was before the start of the construction of GERD. There was an agreement that these 4 projects would be financed by the World Bank. And then after that, one of the parties, the 3 countries, has disagreed. These projects were developed by the expertise of the countries, but at the end, when the implementation comes, that was not realized. So Ethiopia has opted for another option to implement just 1 project for the time being. So obviously, it's a financial problem, but the geographic location of Ethiopia, and because of the nature of the rivers, which are transboundary, it was not possible to have international financing. Hydropower, as many of you know, is a non-consumptive, water-consumptive project. It just uses the water to produce energy, and then the water comes out and follows its course. The question is, then will face cooperation between countries, and the other part, the financer, should also question why this kind of dispute could not be resolved. So that's one of the things that has not been actually, I haven't seen so many fruitful discussion or negotiations in securing finance for hydropower development projects in Ethiopia, actually. So the ball is still between the neighboring countries sharing the water, and also international. Yeah, I think this is how I could understand the situation when it comes to hydropower development in Ethiopia, particularly in Ethiopia.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion and presentation, of course. But unfortunately, there is a time constraint here. But this is a topic that we have to continue. I remember in 2010, I went to visit I think it was the 75th anniversary of the dam, Hoover Dam. It's organized through ASCE, and I heard there one presenter saying that there are 3 legs for any big project, and this interregional, for example, economic development, or those components that can promote economic growth by default, I can say that it brings peace and in the region as well. So he said that the first thing is the technical capability. The second leg is of the stool, if I can use that term, is the economic capability. Is there the finances? And the third is the political will. Is there any political will to do that? So what I see in the region here, there is some very essential item, which is plenty in some part of the region, like Dr. Akech said, fish, for example, and energy in Ethiopia. And if you see Sudan, I can send you an article by Bloomberg, like hundreds, thousands of potential irrigable land in Sudan. So if it has regulated water, and if the irrigation system is in place, it can feed not only Sudan, not only the region, but beyond also. And when you come to the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's an amazing potential for hydropower as well. So it is there, but I don't think there is a political will. One of the reasons we have this forum is the science and the fact should lead the politics, not the politics the other way around. We are influencers, in my opinion, however small it is. So this is a small thing, but it can grow. It's bringing people internationally as well. And there is what's termed as the Cooperative Framework Agreement, CFA, for example, among the Nile Basin countries, 11, which is tried to be successfully agreed upon, but there are some hindrances, again, political. If you want me to send you about the Sudan, for example, and the economic benefits and other disadvantages, if there is any, there is papers by Dr. Khalid, for example, on the benefits of the GERD on Sudan, and Bloomberg on the potential of irrigation that Sudan is having. So I can send it to you if you email me. All of you know my email address. So the last question will be to my friend, Professor John Akech, and then I think we have to stop here, though we like to continue. So
yeah,
Dr. Akech.
Mine is a comment on the partly it has been answered, about why projects have been proposed and they have not been implemented. I think also, for the countries involved, you talk about what you call technical capacity. I think it's also to do mostly about the experience of the civil servants and the size of civil service, and then the political will now to actually the civil service will actually come up with a plan, and civil servants, I mean, the government bureaucracy that is there is capable to generate good projects and also come up with ideas how the projects would be implemented and has that capacity to follow through. And I think I would say what they call, problems are the mother of invention. I think the moment came for Ethiopia. It was the right time for Ethiopia, a very historic country with very deep civilizations. But I think over the last 30 years, we have noticed a big just rise of Ethiopia. And what they have done is like, falling on themselves to fund, to navigate the complexities of political hindrances that are there around. There's something also between countries. Some people look at development as a zero-sum game, So you want to leave your neighbor to behind or to be depend on you. That kind of thing is also there, although is not said on the tables. So for South Sudan, I don't think that we really have, as a country that has been marginalized. We are lacking statecraft. What is really needed for us to be able to have effective government and a government that is capable to conceive projects and follow them through and navigate the political complexities that are always around us. So I think I would say what Ethiopia has done is an earmark tax. So, what you call, I would say that actually Ethiopia should continue to build its infrastructure depending on itself. So you move from GET and then you move to other, very interesting projects for your socio-economic, and others will actually be inspired to follow you. Me, as administrator of university, was inspired by Ethiopian example. I get very little funding from the government regarding infrastructure. I had over 30,000 students. One day I sat down and I said, if I take $100 from every student, what will it be? Bang, it was 3 million. And I said, okay, I added on top the tuition fees. So that is something that, we will try to get that money and build a complex, and then after another provide equipment and so on, in addition to the fee that we have. So I think it's something that Africa can do. In fact, taxation, you just simply put it like taxation is the one that builds these countries. And we should be able to collect enough amount of tax. I'm told that actually a country that is self-sustaining must collect at least 12% of 12.7% of the GDP. Then you are self-sustaining. And Ethiopia is doing that. I don't know whether you have seen that, maybe. And I think that's the way to go. And then the rest of the world will follow. Ethiopia is asserting itself. They will follow. They will come back quietly. And I think we are inspired by that example. So thank you very much for going too long.
Thank you, Professor Akech. And what we heard here is the possibility. Dr. Akech is telling us that it's possible. And I would like to put here my experience, my recent experience. I heard Mr. Lawrence Freeman as a keynote speaker at what was called the Bikila Award. It's like a small candlelight, I can say, in the midst of this darkness that we see around the region, especially our region, Ethiopia, Sudan, and everywhere, South Sudan, Somalia, Djibouti. In this, when I went there, what I did was I flew with my wife to Michigan, where my son and his wife are there, and then we drove to Canada. We did this a number of times. Whenever I reach that checkpoint, I feel so jealous because I see lines of 18-wheelers there waiting to be allowed to go from United States to Canada, from Canada to USA. It's just flowing. That shows me that there is economic ties, there is cooperation there, and there is business, there is jobs created there. And why not between Ethiopia and South Sudan, South Sudan and Ethiopia, or Somalia? So the politics here, what I saw, is conducive to this economic growth together. And I can take an example, again, Canada and the United States regarding the transboundary river, Columbia River, the agreement that they have. So it's possible. It's possible. So we have to lead the way, in my opinion, and we should not undermine our capability, our strength. The small things can make big difference. So keep up the good work, and we'll continue to build up our friendship and discussion. And if you have any comments or something that is wrong in your opinion, feel free. So this is a forum for a free discussion among friends. And thank you very much, and have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Yes.
good discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lord Freeman.
Thank you, Abate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Lama. Appreciate it.